February 13th, 2013. Welcome to GJ Radio. I'm your host.
Day before Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's, everybody. I'm your host, Josh West, along with my co-host, Garrett Vassell.
It's good to be here.
We're back.
We are back.
We have a lot to talk about over the weekend and over the week. So first, we're going to kick this off with a little college basketball talk.
I think that's really where we want to get started here.
Yeah, so what do you want to hit Nerlens Noel first?
The biggest news, Nerlens Noel going out, the number one rated prospect in college basketball going down. With
torn ACL. Yeah, out for the remainder of the season.
He's going to have surgery in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, and they're projecting him to drop a couple spots on the draft board.
Yeah, first of all, where does this leave Kentucky? Kentucky was starting to heat up, make a run.
Won 6 in a row. You know, they were turning everything around. We'll see what happens.
No one wanted to play him in March, and now they're just not as big of a factor. I don't think. I think they maybe go 1 or 2 rounds deep now.
If they even make it. I mean, they're losing the best shot blocker in college basketball.
They are. Not much on the offensive end. That was always my thing against
10
them.
Points a game.
I don't think he doesn't average 10 points a game.
He averaged 10 points a game, 10 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 4.5 blocks.
He's a pretty big liability on the offensive end.
He just doesn't give you that much.
He's like a
poor man Serge Ibaka.
A very poor man Serge Ibaka right now, offensively. Offensively, more like almost like a Kendrick Perkins, kind of a liability down there. You don't really want him to have the ball.
But defensively,
he's
the best player, the best shot blocker in the country.
Yeah, one of the best defenders ever. I mean, rivals Anthony Davis last year for Kentucky.
As far as college basketball,
yeah,
big man.
Yeah, so he's definitely a force inside. If you're going down there, he times things so perfectly. He's got good hands, good reaction time. But I mean, does he? Here's the question I want to put on you. So you tear your ACL. You're supposed to be the number 1 overall guy. Now you tear your ACL. You're out for the season. Do you enter the NBA draft, or do you stick around one more season and see if you can be a number 1? He's going to be the number 1 pick next year if he stays. If he stays healthy.
Right, but right now he's projected to be number 4, number 5. What's to say he might get hurt again next year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's going to go that. It just depends how he rehabs and how he what it all comes. There can be some complications.
He's still a first-round pick. He's still getting first-round money.
Yeah, but not number 1 money.
True, but at the same time, do you stay in school another year when you don't care about school, or do you go play basketball
those guys
for
actually
money?
Go to class?
That's what I'm saying. They don't care about school, so why wouldn't you go? If you had a chance to go play basketball and get paid for it, like, wouldn't you take that no matter what the circumstances, even if you are coming off an injury? Because you have no loyalty to your school. I'm saying if you, Josh, went to Purdue, that'd be one thing. Okay. You'd stay there for 4 years. If he grew up loving Kentucky his whole life and wanted to be a Wildcat, then he'd stay. But he wants to play in the NBA.
I think I agree with you. I think I go out and I go to the NBA. But there's been a lot of talk about maybe he should stay.
It'd be a lot of fun if he stayed.
Yeah, but I just don't. Kentucky would be really, really good if he stayed, but
it'd be good for college basketball too.
Yeah, I don't think anything Calipari will say. I don't think Calipari's gonna ask him to stay either. He's the king of the one and dones, so
he caters to the players. He gives them exactly what they want.
I don't like it, but
that's the way it is. Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
And they win. So other than
they win big,
they haven't. Kentucky's just a lot of raw talent. Last year they had a lot of freshmen come in and they were not as raw. They're just really good. They're good basketball players. This year they kind of just got
raw athletes.
Yeah, you could just tell they're freshmen. Like last year's freshmen, you couldn't tell that they were freshmen.
Guys like Kid Gilchrist, guys like
Anthony Davis, Terrence Jones,
Teague, Marcus Teague,
Marcus Teague. Yeah, I mean they're all just really, really good basketball players. These guys are more of one-dimensional players, more of just really good athletes,
freak athletes.
Yeah, just not as polished, I would say.
Absolutely. This entire season, though, there haven't been any players step up that have.
There's no star power.
Exactly, and that's what I think it's good for the game because it's making the entire season a lot more interesting. I mean,
it does make it a lot more interesting.
There aren't clear-cut number ones.
It doesn't draw your. And the college basketball is not about drawing fans, but it doesn't draw your everyday Joe.
And it's never going to college sports
unless you have a star player. Like Anthony Davis, like a guy that you can kind of advertise.
Right, but the only people who get into college sports are the people that are really, really into their team. I mean, you don't have a casual fan arguing about just a USC
football.
You have guys that are passionate about
right,
the SEC that are talking about their teams. You have guys that are passionate about the Big Ten that are talking about their teams.
Exactly.
And that's nothing to do with the casual fan. And that's the beauty of college sports, I feel like. And that's why I'm so excited for the dance this year, because anyone could do anything.
Right. We did, like we saw today, another top 10 goes down. Syracuse loses to UConn.
And that's a big game, and they didn't. I mean, it wasn't.
It was at UConn. UConn's feisty. They're a tough out, but
right. Oh, absolutely.
You're the number 6 team in the nation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think you can't drop that game.
They didn't rush the court, did they?
I didn't see.
I hope not.
I hope not either. It's been watered down
quite a bit.
26 times this month already. We're not even halfway through this month. That team has rushed the court.
I was kind of upset that Notre Dame did it when they beat Louisville, but that was a 5 overtime game. That's
such
different.
A high intensity game.
But when Oklahoma beat Kansas, which granted it hadn't been done in quite a long time, but at the same time, OU was 15-6 or 15-7 going into that game. They weren't a bad team upsetting.
See, I wouldn't have been mad about them rushing the court.
I know, but I'm just saying
5 minutes before they weren't chanting overrated
right
at Kansas. They either chant overrated and don't rush the court because it's not a big deal, or just be super excited that your team beat the number 5 team, even though they lost 2 in a row.
Right.
And rush the court. But you can't have it both ways. And it's just been watered down. I mean, all these teams are rushing the court. Miami rushed the court when they shellacked Duke. And I know that's a big deal, but Miami's number 3 in the country now.
Exactly. Act like you've been there, though. That's the thing. I mean, you don't gain respect as a program when you have your kids act like they've never won a game before.
Right.
When every time you beat a ranked team is like the equivalent of winning a national title.
Right. If you ever won a national title, you can't rush the court ever. I'm sorry, you go to that school and you can't rush the court.
But exactly. I mean, there's just a thing about it. Like, winners don't rush the court.
Yeah,
it's losers people that don't expect to ever win are the ones that rush the court.
TCU rushing the court after Kansas,
totally
fine. TCU's never been good at basketball.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah, go ahead and rush the court.
Exactly.
But if UConn rushed the court against Syracuse, I know unranked versus the 6th overall team.
But they've won a national championship in the last 10 years. I mean, they're the kind of team that's expected to put up.
They get good recruits.
Yeah.
So
when you're expected to be good, you don't rush the floor.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't be unranked. If you're UConn, you should never be unranked. If North Carolina beats Duke tonight, and North Carolina better not rush the court. I know it's a rivalry game, but you're supposed to do good. You're supposed to beat Duke.
You're North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, you're
not
one of the most historic
North Carolina
basketball programs.
A&T.
Yeah,
you're not Albany coming up with a big upset. You're
right.
University of North Carolina. Michael Jordan went to your school. You don't.
Yeah, when the best player ever went to your school, I don't think you have.
So hopefully they don't.
Yeah,
if they win.
Butler.
That's saying that they win. That's saying if they win though, because
I think
it's I see Duke.
Well, and it's at Duke, so that it's kind of invalid.
And Duke's never going to rush the floor. They know.
No,
Duke's one of those.
They're smart fans.
Kansas doesn't rush the floor. Kentucky doesn't rush the floor.
All basketball.
Kentucky doesn't rush the floor.
Right.
IU doesn't rush the floor.
No,
none of the Big Ten schools really do.
They used to before they got good, because they had that stretch where they sucked. But I don't think they even beat a team that was the top-ranked team to rush the court. But I mean, the teams that are supposed to be good at basketball, they don't rush the courts. So if you're rushing the court, that means your team sucks. So, or at least you think your team sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You went into the game thinking your team sucked.
Not really a compliment. North Carolina State, when they beat Duke, North Carolina State was ranked when they beat Duke, and they rushed the court.
What do you think about these mid-majors going down?
I'm telling you, every other week it seems like
Butler moves up to number 11 and then just gets knocked off.
Butler loses, Creighton loses. I feel like it's every other week. I'm not sure how these guys are still ranked so high. I guess there's so much parity that other teams are losing behind them and ahead of them, so they can't really, justify moving them down that far. But if you're losing to other mid-majors and you're number 11, I don't know.
You're losing to Charlotte?
Yeah. I mean, Creighton lost to Indiana State, and then Indiana State gets ranked, and they lose to Wichita State. It's just, I don't know. I'm not impressed with the mid-majors this year, but saying that, Gonzaga's, number 6 or something? Number 5 or 6?
Then again, though, Butler did beat Gonzaga, and they did beat IU, so there's something to be said about
Butler's a good team.
Butler's squad, even though they lost to Charlotte, LaSalle, and St. Louis.
They're 4-3 in their last 7, and you're number 11. So and you're not even first in your conference. So I don't know. But so much parity. Who's going to win the national championship? There's a lot of teams. I think there's over a dozen teams that could win it. And
oh, absolutely. I mean,
know who I think could win it? Michigan State.
Michigan State after tonight's big win?
Last night's
big win over
they're always
who they play?
Michigan.
Michigan, that's
killed
right.
them by 30. They're always in the Final Four. I don't know how they do it, but
Izzo, I trust, man. Izzo just knows how to
he
get
gets
them
his team to play. They
play hard.
They buy into a system.
Oh, absolutely.
They have a good point guard play in Keith Appling. Do
they ever have any really one and done guys there?
No. Big Ten doesn't really have one and done guys. They keep guys around, and that's why the Big Ten is starting to make a push as one of the best basketball conferences. And I think they are the best basketball conference this year. But
yeah, it's hard to find them or the Big East. There's an argument between them two.
I think they've surpassed the Big East this year now.
I think so this year, yeah.
Michigan State, Indiana, Illinois will pull off an upset. Wisconsin. I wouldn't want to play Wisconsin in March. The way they dictate the flow of the game.
There's a lot of teams I don't want to play right now because no one's team is a clear-cut favorite over anyone right now. Anyone can lose to anyone. You have
Indiana loses and they still somehow come up with the number one overall ranking because everybody else lost.
Exactly. It's just what happens.
I mean, I think Miami might be the best team in the country right now.
If they can keep up their winning streak in the ACC at all.
I mean, they're 11-0. They won tonight. So, I mean, tough to look past them. They killed Duke. Well, it depends how they do at Cameron Fieldhouse or whatever. You know, if they can beat Duke there, or at least make it a really good game, I think they're the best team in the country. But it's tough to say. I don't know. There's so many teams that could win it. There's a lot of teams I wouldn't want to face in March. And I think if you're a 1 through 5 or 6 seed, I think you're confident going in.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I mean,
just looking at the rankings. Gonzaga, I'm not terribly terrified of Gonzaga. I know they only got 2 losses, but they're mid-major. They lost to Butler, so they don't have that many good wins on their resume. Duke could win it. Indiana could win it. Miami could win it. Michigan could win it with their big three. Michigan State, I'm really terrified of. Florida plays really well at home. We'll see how they can do in the tournament. But they're really fast-paced. They've got some big guys that can play. Arizona can play. Kansas State got beat by Kansas, but Kansas State's a tough team. I wouldn't want to play them. Louisville, I wouldn't want to play. Kansas, Georgetown, Ohio State. I wouldn't want to play any of those. All those teams.
It's going to be a really, really fun tournament, in my opinion.
It is, because there's no. Last year we had Kentucky who just steamrolled through the tournament. Kentucky versus Kansas. It was a good game, but you knew Kentucky was going to win. This year, Kentucky's not even they're top 25 right now, but they're going to fall after getting shellacked by Florida and losing Nerlens Noel. So I don't know. I don't know who's going to win. There's just so many. I think anybody in the top 25, really. I mean, I don't think Creighton or Butler is going to win it, but Butler's really well coached, and they always kind of turn it around in the tournament. So, but if I'm a betting man, I think I would go with a Michigan State Miami.
I just wouldn't bet this year.
Game.
I would just sit this year out.
No, yeah.
It's a crapshoot, man.
Yeah, I like Michigan State Miami. If Miami just doesn't falter and just doesn't crumble, but Michigan State, man, they are watching them last night. They have a big man in Nix who is a legitimate big man, big force down there, can make plays for you down the post. Keith Appling, great point guard, great defender. They play defense really hard, and I wouldn't want to face them there. And they're always in the Final Four. I don't know how Izzo does it, but they're always in the Final Four. So I don't know. I don't think I want to face them or Miami. Miami's got a good veteran presence. They got Shane Larkin. So
moving gears a little bit, we're gonna move on to NFL talk just for a brief second, just because there's a lot of stuff going on post Super Bowl. Joe Flacco, what kind of money do you think he's going to be getting? What kind of deal? That's the most interesting thing right now as far as football goes. What kind of deal is Joe Flacco getting? Josh, I want to hear your take on this. What do you think?
It's crazy to think that he's going to get a huge deal. Now, they've been making the case that he should get a bigger deal than Peyton Manning got in Indy, or should get like a Tom Brady type deal. And I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that deserving. He did win a Super Bowl, and he played outstandingly well. But I don't think he's good enough to warrant that kind of money. But then again, you look at his stats and everything, and it warrants that. I mean, if you just put his stats up and you don't put his name on there or his face, you're like, wow, that guy's an elite quarterback. So, I mean, especially what he did in the playoffs.
Through the last, I can't remember how many games it was, but he finished the season throwing 13 touchdowns and no interceptions.
Yeah, in the playoffs he did.
Yeah, I mean,
in his 4 games in the playoffs.
It's an absolutely incredible run. Why do you not give him
He didn't throw an interception on the deep ball. Now,
never had a losing season.
Yeah, he's always been in the playoffs. He's got 9 playoff wins in his 5 seasons.
Has a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, like for his career for the most part, which is good for a guy that's been in the league for 5 years.
I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to be. I don't know. It's a contract year he had.
And he won the Super Bowl.
I feel like if you give him a huge deal, I don't think he's going to be able to.
He's 28 years old.
I think he's going to be one of those guys you give a huge deal to, and once he gets that huge deal, his play starts to digress.
I don't know, man. He's only 28 years old. He's 6'6", 240 some odd pounds.
I know.
He has a cannon for an arm.
But this was just one of those contract years, and his defense isn't going to be that same defense that he has, so they're going to be relying on him more and more. Now, one thing is he does have Ray Rice behind him that they can.
Absolutely. And he still has Torrey Smith,
Anquan Bolden.
Possibly if they re-sign him.
Or he might retire. Who knows?
He said if they don't re-sign him, then he's going to retire.
He's going to retire. I don't think Pitt is going to have the same year that he did. But I don't know. I wouldn't give him quite the money that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning got or Drew Brees. But I don't know,
man. I think he's better than Drew Brees.
I don't know about that.
It's a different system.
It is a different system.
If Flacco was playing in the 5 wide receiver, throw it every time system, I think he'd be just as successful.
I don't
At
think so
6'6", 240 some odd pounds, I think he's a better quarterback than Drew Brees. It's just Drew Brees benefits from playing in a pass happy system.
Yeah, but Drew Brees was good at San Diego, and
he was all right.
He hurt his shoulder, and they didn't want to bring him back, and then he just lit it up with New Orleans. I don't think he's better than Drew Brees. I think he's up there with them.
Yeah, the case could be made, but I mean,
I think he's better than whatever Roethlisberger's getting. He gets more than Roethlisberger.
Absolutely.
More than what Romo's getting. He's definitely, definitely an elite quarterback now. We can put him in that conversation. I think he didn't win as much as Eli Manning, but he's younger than Eli Manning. I think he's more comparable to Eli Manning. I don't know. I would give him big money, but it'd be a stretch to say that I'd give him.
You really don't want to give Joe Flacco big money, do you? Do you just not believe in him?
I don't know what it is. I don't
think he's the real deal. There's just something about him you don't.
I don't know if it's just his dull personality or what. That kind of silent cockiness that he's got going on. But I don't know. I think you give him good money, but I don't think you give him.
I think you give him top level money, man. The guy just won the Super Bowl.
You can't, if you're giving him a long-term contract, you can't get caught up in what he did in 1 year. I mean, I know he won the Super Bowl. It's huge, but you're giving him a long-term contract.
He's been good every single year, though. Every single year, he's thrown over 3,500 yards, completed nearly 60% of his passes. I mean, what more do you want from your quarterback, from your franchise quarterback?
He hasn't been great. I mean, look at his numbers. He's 22 touchdowns this past year.
Yeah, because he has Ray Rice, and he's handing the ball off to Ray Rice.
He threw it a bunch this year. He threw it a lot more than.
How many rushing touchdowns did Ray Rice have, though, still?
Look it up. I don't believe he had that many.
I mean, you had him on your fantasy team.
I know, and he wasn't that great. I was really mad because they didn't give him the ball as much. He didn't have any in the Super Bowl. He only had 9.
He had 9 this year. Yeah, 9.
That's nothing to be, to hold your hat on. I mean, there's a lot more running backs that put a bigger number. Still, though,
I mean,
I don't think you give the best money to a 22 touchdown guy. And I know he's getting better every year, but I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna be that 22 touchdown guy. And I think the Ravens' window is almost closed. With that defense getting older, losing Anquan Bolden, I don't think Dan Pitt is going to be as good. I don't think Torrey Smith is going to be as good. And I know Jacoby Jones, maybe after this Super Bowl that he had, maybe he's just going to turn phenomenal. But
possibly,
I don't know. I don't think I give him top level money, but I definitely give him good money. You just gotta look past it, but you got to give them money to sign back. You can't afford to lose them. That's the thing. You can't afford to lose them, and so him and his agent kind of hold all the cards, and whatever they want, they're going to get.
So there have been a couple crazy things. I understand where you're coming from. We're just going to move on a little bit. I totally agree with you. I have no rebuttal for that.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to the new little segment, I guess. Just talk about the craziness of the week. There's a report out of California. Josh, you know something about this story?
So this is a crazy story. Christopher Dorner. I'm sure everybody.
Tell us the story.
I'm sure everybody's kind of heard a little bit about it.
But if not,
but if not, I definitely recommend reading his manifesto that he put out. Basically, he was going for a promotion, didn't get it. Ended up getting fired because a little while back when he was on patrol with another police officer, they were arresting someone, and the police officer used excessive force to kick the guy in the chest. So he reported it as a good officer would, and this guy's African American. And there's been LAPD. There's been a lot in the past racism.
Yeah, dating back all the way to the
Rodney
50s,
King, all of that. So he reports this, and they kind of they don't like it. You don't do that. They don't like you reporting on another officer. He crossed the blue line, as they say.
Right.
And so he got kind of pushed out, fired, couldn't get a promotion,
Whatever
all
you
of
wanna
that.
call it.
Yeah. Even the guy that was kicked, the criminal that got kicked, he, said, yeah, I got kicked. They used excessive force. His dad came out and said, yeah, he told me right after they used excessive force. But they took it to, the higher ups, and the higher ups all had connections with that
Officer.
With that patrol officer. One of them was like his brother-in-law and stuff like that. And so he wasn't going to win. And this guy, in his manifesto, he kind of pulls the victim card a lot. You could tell in his life he's always pulled the victim card. Guy's a former Navy SEAL, well trained, has all the accolades, all of that. So this guy kind of just says, you know what, if there's going to be a change, I'm going to make the change. And in his manifesto, he says, unfortunately, some people are going to have to die in order for this change to happen. So he goes in, kills the officer's daughter and her boyfriend. So this young couple he kills another officer. Then so now there's a manhunt for this guy. So he drives up into the mountains in Big Bear County in California, and a game warden is driving by and recognizes the truck that he stole, and is trying to confront this guy. He shoots the game warden, goes up into the mountains, and he's there's two cabins that he's kind of going in between. He's got guns, assault rifles, all of this stuff. And so it's just a firefight, and all these officers are...
Between him and the officers?
Yeah, a ton of officers. And he's very, very well trained, and he's,
doing Rambo kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's like Mark Wahlberg and Shooter. He knows what to do. And so he's firing back and forth. One officer is killed, one was in surgery. He made it. And he's just going Rambo, and then finally, they don't know what caused the fire, but someone
Fire broke out?
Yeah, fire broke out in the cabin, and they don't know if it was a gas bomb that just ignited something,
right,
or if he set it, or if he shot himself. But he ended up dying in the cabin, and it's weird because I kind of found myself rooting for him a little bit, just because
it's a crazy cool story.
Yeah, and the guy just like
it's so sad.
It's like a
but
movie.
And from afar. Going from afar and then bringing it back to here, going to the story with the Mexican guy,
the
Hispanic gentleman from Miami who is being transferred to a prison in Nevada, who they had flown to Houston, and he had been acting inappropriately on the plane, as all criminals do.
He's schizophrenic.
Yeah, schizophrenic. And so him and two officers were taking him to the facility in Nevada from Houston because they couldn't put him on another plane. So they came up to Dallas waiting for another officer to get on, or to meet up with them at a Walmart or something. Or no, they were going to pick him up from the airport, and they had just stopped at a Walmart, I guess, to use the restroom. So one of them goes in to use the restroom. Well, the criminal's in the back seat with his handcuffs on, and he's chained up, I guess. And I don't know what the other officer was doing, whether he went down to check a text message or change the radio, but the criminal breaks off the earpiece of his glasses and he stabs the guy in the neck.
And they're in a rental car, so they're not in like a police car where there's a cage. It's a rental car.
Right, that was my first question.
Yeah.
Why did he, don't they have cages back there, or glass or something? But so it's just a regular rental car that they got.
Yeah, so this guy has free range other than, his handcuffs.
Stabs him in the neck, then gets out, allegedly steals a car that has a shotgun in it.
Mm-hmm.
And takes off driving, and then they find the truck later in Irving.
Right.
So he's gone from Grapevine to Irving, and now they have no idea where this guy is. And it's kind of crazy because it's right in our backyard.
Yeah, so this guy's literally out there somewhere.
And his description is a 5'6" Hispanic male, 42 years old.
So I don't. There's
And they have been receiving phone calls just about every 30 minutes saying that they've found him. Someone has found him or thinks that they found him.
yeah. This guy's gonna blend in wherever he goes.
That's what I'm saying. He could show up at the Mobile down the street or at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. I speak English. Let me get you guys some work. Oh, okay. Like,
Whack.
yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. This guy's crazy.
Yeah. This guy obviously has really no motive other than just to watch the world burn. So
He's been arrested for molestation, sexual assault. Murder. This guy's
not one to mess with.
So if you're in the Dallas area, guys, stay safe. Just there's a little story for you. Don't
be on guard. Definitely.
Always turn the lights on when you leave your bedroom because if you don't turn the lights on in your house, it's a scary, scary dark world.
It is. It is.
And there might be Mexican guys waiting to kill you there.
Yeah, definitely. So definitely watch out. There's been some crazy news in the world.
It's a crazy
world.
That's
for
man.
Sure. Now, I kind of wanted to move from that back to the sports world.
That was just
NBA. LeBron James, greatest player ever.
Possibly.
The jury's still out.
The jury's still out. They don't know yet. I mean, 6 games in a row where he's shooting 71% over 6 games and averaging over 30 points.
I mean, but you look at Michael Jordan had a tear like that where he was scoring 36 point something a game, shooting.
I think it was actually like 46 points.
No, it was 36.
Oh, 36?
Yeah.
But like 6 games or something?
Yeah, and he was
for a full month.
Yeah, and he shot like 58%, and now he lost a couple games in that stretch, and so one can say that LeBron James' stretch is better, but I mean, I don't know. I think the jury's still out on LeBron. I still lean Michael Jordan. I think I may always lean that way, but
until LeBron gets 6 rings.
If LeBron James gets 6 rings,
if he does, then do you?
I don't.
That's a big if, though. That's
a huge if.
Kobe hasn't even done it yet.
He's got 1, so
Kobe hasn't even done it.
But I think it's silence is Kobe better than Jordan talk. I think that's kaput. I don't think anybody's talking about that anymore.
Yeah, because everyone knows LeBron's better than Kobe.
Yeah, so
this year showed it.
I mean, LeBron is just something else. It's crazy that he's just gotten better. And I was one of the biggest. I wouldn't say LeBron hater. I respected his game.
You just didn't want him to succeed.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people like that, especially after the decision and 1 ring, 2 ring, 3 ring. No, we're gonna get 7 rings or something like that. And I think a lot of people are just like, oh, really? All right, well, we're rooting against you, and especially when they lost that first World Championship to the Mavs,
to the Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki, and the
Dallas Mavericks.
Hey.
I think everybody was happy, but now that he's gotten a ring, the pressure's off, and he can just go out and ball, and
he's been doing it.
He's balling. So
I love it, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for the rest of the NBA season. I'm excited to see what he does because the Mavericks suck. So, I mean, I'm just cheering for good basketball now at this point.
I think everyone should just kind of
jump on the bandwagon.
Not jump on the bandwagon, sit back and just
jump on the LeBron bandwagon.
Appreciate what you have.
Now, we need to.
I'm not jumping on the LeBron bandwagon, but you just have to appreciate. He's so awesome. He's so good. You have to appreciate what you have, and I mean, a player like that doesn't come along very often, and we are in for a treat for the rest of his career. I mean,
we'll see. Hopefully, it's a long one, man. It's so fun to watch him play. He's so good. He does everything so well. He
doesn't have a weakness. He doesn't. If he's not the best player in ever, he's the biggest mismatch ever.
Yeah,
you're talking 6'8", 250 pounds.
Handles the ball, can guard.
Yeah, can post you up. You put a big man on him, he's going to go right around you. You put a little man on him, he's going to back you up, back you down. Yeah. And he's doing exactly what I always wanted him to do. And it was my biggest problem with him is that he wasn't doing it. He's getting a lot of his bucket, a majority of his buckets inside the paint area, and that's what he should do. I mean, he can literally drive and dunk it any time he wants, and that's what he's doing. And he's just been on fire. And he right now because he's getting confidence from those inside shots, and now that he can pull it back out and hit a 3,
knock him down.
He's an impressive specimen, and we need to appreciate what we have in him because a player like that you don't get very often, and he's a once in a lifetime player. And our being 21, our parents were blessed they could see Jordan, Bird, and Magic, and all of them, and appreciate what you have. We have LeBron, we have Durant, we have
Kobe.
Still. Yeah, we were blessed to watch Kobe. We saw Shaq in his prime. So I mean, you just have to appreciate what you have, and sit back and enjoy that.
Just sit back and watch it.
Yeah, because it's hard to appreciate something when you're watching it right now, and
right.
usually you can't appreciate it until you look back gone. And you have new players and you're like, man, I miss the days of LeBron James. But
we're gonna be saying that one day.
Yeah, but everybody just appreciate that we have LeBron James, because even if you hate him, he's
one hell of a ball player,
and he's a good guy. He doesn't like go around and gloat. He's not like
doesn't kill people.
No, he doesn't.
That's pretty much my only.
He doesn't do drugs. He passes the ball. So the big knock on Kobe was always, he never passes. Well, LeBron's is averaging like 8 assists. So
he's a freak.
So he does everything on the court for you, and he's a ball hawk. He goes after and just swats everything that comes out over there. So, I mean, there's really no knock on the guy other than the decision, and that's the only thing.
And he still gave that money to charity.
Yeah, but it wasn't even like the money that he got from the decision that I was, mad about. It was the fact that he
had done the decision.
Yeah, he waited to tell Cleveland on live TV instead of, the city that you grew up in, the city that loves you, instead of telling him, face to face. That was the only thing.
I mean, he didn't owe them anything, though.
Come on.
He didn't owe them anything. He made them what they were. He didn't owe Cleveland anything. He didn't owe Cleveland anything.
He did. He did. He grew up in Cleveland.
I know that. They should be thankful that he was there, and they weren't. They were pissed off that he left.
Well, they were pissed off that the way he left. That was
they would have been. There was no way. But it wouldn't have been happy. They wouldn't have been happy at all.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been. He picked the worst way to do it, though.
No,
to keep everybody like, oh, where's he going? Where's he going? And then announcing it on a 1-hour television on ESPN. That wasn't the right way. It's not good business. And NBA is a business.
It worked for him. It worked for him.
I mean, that's why he had a lot of haters. And then he came out with that commercial. Am I a villain because of this? That didn't help his rep either. But now it's all in the past, and no one's really talking about that anymore.
I think it's awesome because he knows he's just the man.
He is. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He's the best player in the NBA. So he's the most efficient player. He's one of the best passers, one of the best rebounders, one of the best shot blockers, one of the best scorers, most efficient scorer, definitely. So
we'll see what happens the rest of the season.
Yeah, you got to think that he's the Miami Heat are definitely
contenders.
Yeah, definitely contenders. I think there's a couple teams in the West that could beat them if the role players aren't knocking down threes like they should. Last year versus OKC. He had a lot of help from his role players. They were just on fire. Mike Miller was on fire from three, and that really helped him. So it just depends on his role players. In this league, you can't win by yourself. But I mean, he's getting these guys open shots.
Unless you're Dirk Nowitzki.
True, but I mean, even that, defense is collapsing. He got people open shots.
True,
and he had a lot of veteran presence: Tyson Chandler, Jason Kidd, and he had,
Deshaun
Stevenson.
He had.
It just depends who steps up. It's definitely role players definitely make the team. If you look, in the past championships, the stars definitely showed out, but you can look back and be like, man, that guy played out of his mind that series.
There wasn't anyone last year for OKC that stepped up besides.
No, Durant played well.
And Westbrook, who were expected to do well,
and Harden didn't play that well in the
finals.
Yeah, in the NBA finals, and Miami did. You have Mike Miller that.
Exactly, and Shane Battier.
Shane Battier was knocking down threes and playing defense. So,
guys stepping up. That's how. You just need your role players to step up.
And, how many threes did Mike Miller make in the last game?
It was unreal.
It was a record.
6 or 7.
No, it was more than that because it was like a record. He was almost up to he was like 8 or 9. And
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy. So it just depends who steps up, and I think Miami is definitely the leader in the clubhouse, but we'll see. So. Pitchers and catchers reported this week. I don't know.
I don't really care. They're showing up to play catch.
Yeah, but you start getting to baseball. You're going into spring, all of that.
I just don't want. I'm not ready for baseball, man. The Cubs are so bad. I'm not even excited for baseball because I know that the Cubs are going to be so bad.
I think it's going to be fun though to see if the LA teams can play up to their payroll
for a while. It's fun to pay attention to baseball for a while. For myself, but once again, we are Cubs fans, and it just
I'm a little
get
more
into it.
I get more into baseball than just the Cubs because I've kind of come to terms with the Cubs. not being
love
that
baseball.
great.
I love the Cubs, and I don't really like baseball. It's just
it's slow. I understand that.
There's a history to it that I understand. I respect baseball. I respect the people who like it. It's boring, and my team sucks, so that's why I don't like baseball.
It's true. What about this Hito Turkoglu story?
Oh, get back to the NBA. Performance-enhancing drugs finally in basketball.
Yeah, about time we see it.
Welcome.
It's only the 8th player ever in NBA history to get busted for PEDs.
Isn't that just great news?
That's crazy that it's only 8, and it's crazy that since it is only 8 that someone got busted. And it makes you wonder who else could be on performance-enhancing drugs. And these are the questions you have to ask yourself: is who else is taking it? And I'm sure the NBA. Only 8 people got busted. Or there's only been 8 people busted, so I'm sure there's not a huge testing. I'm sure it's just random and every now and then. So, I don't know. You could see more, or they could just be like, all right, well, we don't want that to happen again. So
I say kick him out of the league. What are they going to do?
He's suspended. I don't think on the first one
Why not?
kick him out.
Send the message. If you get caught with steroids, you don't get to play.
But
Done.
It's kind of a universal thing around sports that, it's not a one-strike rule.
But why isn't it a one-strike rule?
Well, the NBA Player Association won't have it. I mean, they won't.
Right. I know. Why?
Because they want fair treatment.
They want a tainted game?
Well, they don't want to see their players kicked out of the league
for cheating?
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is. I mean,
it's messed up, is what it is.
That's the player union.
I know it's messed up.
Doing that, so I'm sure if David Stern had his way, he might kick Hito Turkoglu, a foreigner, out of the league. Didn't really care.
Yeah, get out of here, you foreigner.
The NBA Player Association is not going to have it, so we're not going to see him kicked out of the league. But he's in his last few years, anyways.
I know, but I mean, we don't just give a pass. Oh, he's old, so it's okay for him to use
suspended.
So kick him out of the league. No more basketball for you, Hito.
I don't know. He's not. It's not like he's not gonna. He's just getting a slap on the wrist. They're suspending him, and I'm sure it'll be 30-game suspension or whatever. The Magic aren't any good anyways, so it's not like so it'll start more into next year as well. So I don't know. I think that it's definitely not good for the NBA that they've had this come out.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I don't think there's gonna be another one coming out anytime soon. So.
All right. Well. This about wraps up our show tonight. We're going to come back tomorrow, bring up, I guess we'll start talking baseball since it's that time of the year.
Yeah, we can start talking that, picks, things like that. Mike Trout going to repeat what he did last year.
And then I definitely want to bring up our projections for the upcoming season, talk about some moves.
Talk about, we might get in the NFL a little bit more. Combine coming up next week, or 2 weeks from now.
We'll definitely bring up the Combine, and then we'll definitely bring up NBA again because there's going to be some more action between.
And we'll see if North Carolina can beat Duke tonight. We might talk about that. I doubt it, but
bring it up. We'll see. Y'all stay tuned though. This is Garrett Bassel.
This is Josh West
for GJ Radio. Y'all follow us at GJ Radio. Take it easy, guys.
Have a great night.
I can give a fuck by no nigga long as these bitches love me.